Hi guys! Today I would like to share with you my drawing warm-up routine that you should do if you like to improve your art. There are so many reasons to do this kind of routine. Our arms, our shoulder and our hands are our instrument for drawing, and it's very important to take care of them. So today I show you some very simple exercises that you can do along with me. They will require just 15 minutes, that is the time that is suggested to do this kind of exercise. Actually, the time is usually between 10 and 20 minutes a day, but I decided to share with you what I usually do, that is 15-minute routine. And I can assure you that if you do that every day before drawing, you will see some improvement. In fact, the warm-up drawing are very important, especially to improve the line flows, line art in general, to improve also the eye-hand coordination, that is very important, and to train your muscle memory, that is also very important when you are drawing. First thing is very important to warm up your wrist, your shoulder and your finger before drawing, because as I said, they are your instruments and you have to take care of them. To do this routine today, I will use some piece of paper, waste paper actually, that I found around. I suggest you to just take paper that is very cheap, that is a waste paper. Don't use very expensive paper to do these exercises because you need a lot of sheets. If I have to be honest, I usually do this exercise on my iPad, so I don't waste any paper at all. But today, to make things easier, I decided to do it on paper with you. And you will need also just a pencil, and in my case I also take closer with me a sharpener just in case I need to sharpen my pencil. So without further ado, let's get started! As first exercise, we are going to do some circles, and to do this, actually we have to work with our shoulder. It's very important to warm up our shoulder. Don't worry if you can't do perfect circle, that is not the point of the exercise. So I started just to draw randomly on the paper a lot of circles for 1 minute. And as you see, I'm trying to lock my wrist and just work with my shoulder. As second exercise, I will do scribbles on my paper without even thinking of direction or spaces, and I just try to fill forms and see shapes in my scribbles. And also in this case, I try to lock my wrist as best as I can. Now I started drawing some lines and I follow every direction that I can think of, like diagonal direction, horizontal and vertical one. And I try to put every line close to each other. Now another exercise in which I draw C forms. And also in this case I draw them in every direction. Also for these exercises I recommend to keep your wrist as long as you can and try to work mainly from the shoulder. Now I'm doing same thing, a repetition of S curves. And I'm doing this S curve in every direction. And it seems very easy as exercise, but I can assure you that especially when you start to draw in the opposite direction that you usually do, it's quite complicated. Now on the piece of paper I draw this kind of curve that will help me with the next exercise. We are going to draw ellipses and we are trying to follow and stay between the line that we drew before as a guidelines. This is a very hard exercise actually. The purpose of the exercise is to make the ellipses touch it, both of the course, on top and the bottom, but actually as you can see it's harder than it seems. It requires a lot of coordination, but it's very very good to train your high hand coordination actually. Next, I will draw some perpendicular line on my paper because I prepare it for the next exercise. Also in this case, I will go in to draw ellipses. This time I will try to draw ellipses around the cross that I drew before. And also in this case you can see that it's pretty hard. And as you can see, I draw many lines on the same ellipses. This is also a very useful exercise to do in general. Now I draw some points on my piece of paper and I do this to prepare for the next exercise in which I start to draw lines that have to pass through this point. In this exercise it's important that the line pass through one point at a time. And I try to draw lines from different directions. And sometimes it's easy to work from the shoulder, sometimes it's a little bit harder. And sometimes I miss the point completely. This exercise is also very useful for eye-hand coordination. Now I'm drawing different points on my piece of paper for the next exercise. And in this case I will draw lines that have to pass through 2 points. And this is another great exercise for eye-hand coordination. And I also pass through the 2 points multiple times to try to draw same lines over and over again. These exercises seems very simple, but actually need a lot of concentration, and I think that also the mindset that you're using to do them help you a lot when you start to draw after that you do that. Now I'm drawing some squares, so freehand drawing, and try, to think about perspective and forms, but also about lines, because at the end of the day all the edges are just lines. And I try to draw the squares from different directions and different point of view. I put for this exercise just 1 minute, but actually you can also do it for more time if you need it. Now I start to drawing sphere, and as you can see I draw before a circle, and then I go with the line that give this kind of 3D effect for my sphere. This is very important, especially because this is one shape that you will draw a lot, especially if you're doing portrait. Also in this case I try to keep my wrist lock as lock as I can at least. Now I will start to draw cones. I start with the point, then I draw the ellipse that is at the other ending, and then I connect with lines. I put square, sphere and cones in this exercise because I think they are one of the most used shapes almost in every actually kind of drawing, so it's very important to train these kind of shapes. Another shape that is very useful to train is the cylinder, for example. And now the last exercise is about pressure, pencil pressure on paper, and in particular I start to draw very light, and then I start to darken my value. So I go from light to the darkened value, and I try to make all the values on the page different. It's not very easy to see with this light. And I try to stay with my hand at the end of the pencil to do that. In this way you train your hand to give different pressure in your drawing. And that is very, very important when you're doing lighting and shading with graphite and with color pencils, for example. I'm not limited myself to go from light to darken, but I also do from darken color to the lighter one. And you will see me also do dark and light, dark light pressure on the paper. As you can notice, I put more time for this exercise because actually it's quite unique and it is super important. And that's it, guys. Time's up. We did a lot of exercises. I really hope all these exercises can help you in your art journey and can help you to improve your drawing, and especially your line art, your lines, movement and flows. I can assure you that if you do this exercise with perseverance, you will improve your skills. You will see the difference, especially if you do them before starting drawing. You will notice the difference in your drawings, in your line work and line flow. So, if this video was useful, please give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to don't miss any other content. See you next time. Moi moi!